Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 171 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
So guys and girls, welcome back to the show. Here we are with episode 171, and we've got returning guest Nick Patterson on the show. Nick's someone who, I've had on the show a couple of times before, and now he's going to be a returning guest. He's someone that when he speaks, it's very inspiring. He comes from a biblical standpoint, a lot of things, but he's not religious, and he takes things how they should be taken, which is inspirational. So we cover a lot of topics in today's show. We go into the power of the mind, why your beliefs impact your outcomes, how he was diagnosed with diabetes at 5. Some really interesting information on how to deal with fines and penalties from the government, which I've actually been done myself. I've put all this into practice with speeding fines and haven't had anything back. Also, we go into why people can't and won't change their mind no matter how much evidence you show them, and why Nick gave up fighting professionally. And we go into a lot more too. And as always, with Nick, it's a real interesting conversation, and he's someone we'll be having back on the show many times over. So don't worry, it won't be the last you see of him. Before we get into the show, as always, the episode is sponsored by www.reviveyourself.co, and on there you can find our shop, which has got the best natural health products on the market by none. We've got products from Evolution Organics. With them, we've got one of the products I always talk about, which is Living Fuel, the best all-round product on the market bar none. We've got liver supports and milk thistles to keep your liver, the battery of life, working. Mushroom products from Four Sigmatic, they're fantastic. You can add them into your morning teas. They're immune boosting, nootropic as well, so very good for brain health. And all the soaps, clean soaps from Dr. Bronner's, and shampoos and deodorants. We move down to Ancient Purity. Got fantastic products there when it comes to gut health and healing and sealing your gut. And also got some fantastic products when it comes to your skin as well, with the oxygenated olive oil, which is a stalwart product I really enjoy. Ancient Purity, I always talk about pearl powder, great for internally, for internal health, and also topically on your skin, getting rid of any blemishes. Royal jelly, it's what Bruce Lee used to drink in his tea. Me and Tom were actually talking about that and making maybe a product where we combine a few teas with that. But yeah, it's full of amino acids, once again immune boosting, great for immune function and getting the body all the nutrients it needs. Also in winter months, got the vitamin C and vitamin D products from Ancient Purity that I'd highly recommend. Vitamin C is liposomal. They've also got a vitamin D3, which is liposomal, which means it gets absorbed in the mouth and in higher amounts. Other products we've got there, I'm just having a think. Also the Volvic minerals, great to have in your morning tonic. Then we go down to Biooptimizers, which have got the best probiotics, max enzymes, HLC on the planet right now, from my main man Wade Lightheart. They're extremely good products. I recommend them if you're dealing with digestive issues. You need to get to the root cause of the problem, but these will definitely give you relief if you're looking to increase your hydrochloric acid, your digestive fires, and also the probiotics they've got there. They've got a formula which is second to none, so it's actually the best formula at helping digest proteins on the planet. And we've also got a product called Gluten Guardian. So if you're ever out and you're having a beer, or you want to have some nice rolls or some pasta, take a couple of Gluten Guardian products with you, and they help break down the gluten molecules in your food, so you don't get any problems if you're actually gluten intolerant, or if gluten just gives you an issue, which it does for most people even without knowing it. So those products on the market. Then we've got obviously the Memon products, which are the EMF blocking products. from a company that I found this year, which are phenomenal for anyone who wants to mitigate their exposure to EMF on their body, in their car or in their house. The Combi builds a force field around your house, which you can plug into the wall, and it uses the house's electrical mains to build that force field, which is really important in today's world, where they're actually trying to, there's so many invisible frequencies going around, and they're turning up the 5G, so it's really important. Products from Memon. I was talking to Dr. Klinghardt, and he talks about the only people he knows that can fully heal are the ones that can safely mitigate themselves from EMF, so it's really important. Then we've got our products from Essential Oil Wizardry. My friend Dr. Nick Berry, the best essential oils on the planet bar none. If you're going to use that site, put in the code REVIVE and you're going to get 10% off. And look, a lot of people, women, all the time using fragrances that are extremely toxic to their body, cancer causing, hormone disrupting, and you just don't need them. Whereas if you use essential oils, it's not only going to smell fantastic, but they're healthy for the body, they're immune boosting. So I would be using essential oils from Dr. Nick Berry. And also, if you head over to our friend Andy Mamp's website at blueblocks.com, BLUBLOX.com, for the best blue blocking glasses on the planet. You've got you also got the clear glasses you can wear in the day if you're looking at the screen, but in the evening you've got the red blocking glasses, the red lenses, I should say, the blue blocking glasses, red lenses, and you've also got the yellow ones as well that are great for around sunset or dawn, or dusk and dawn. And once again, put in the code REVIVE, you're going to get 10% off there. So we've got everything lined up in the shop. We're going to be getting more products on the market. Tom's actually just sent me over some stuff that I'm going to be trying in terms of some creams and moisturizers, and a few other things that we've got up our sleeve that could be coming soon, which we'll be looking into. Heading over to www.reviveyourself.co to get the best in natural health on the planet, and when it comes to supplements. So that's it with the little intro, and here is Nick Patterson for episode 171. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side.
Learning about fines and speeding, and that was a big deal. And then I learned about, all the tolls, how to get out of that. Then I started to learn about, all the biblical connections, because I already had the biblical knowledge, and I started connecting that, and that's what I really got into. And now I just I take that understanding or that position that if it's not biblical, it's not law. And I've found that it isn't law when it's not biblical.
The thing is with it, Nick, I want to get into that. It's really interesting what you said about making it biblical, because that's why I really like that about you. It's like when I listen to Jordan Peterson describe certain things, you go into biblical because it's all based on the Bible, and it's like when people talk about things you're reading scripture, it's scripted, it's a script, and it's why I was listening to a couple of guys talk about this yesterday. But because I want to talk to you quickly about that, about the fines and the tax. But I've had people come to me and say, they've had people doing this common law stuff for a long, long time, and they've gone to the court, and even though the judge knows they're right, they won't give them the verdict, because they say if we do that, it will set a dangerous precedent. So then what? Even though they know that you're right, you don't get the result. So
there must be ways to make them accountable. I mean, I've never gone that far, so I don't know. But this is where you need to invoke the powers above, because they're real. And I can testify of it because I have my personal witness. It's not just a book that has really amazing stories in it, because no man's that brilliant to come up with this kind of, this level of depth and this many layers. It's like the plan that we're seeing be unfolded, that's been planned in the 1800s for these 3 world wars. I don't know if you've seen the Mazzini letters with Albert Pike, and which apparently was in the museum in London, and now they deny it ever existing. But then there's all these people that have seen it from back in the 70s and say, no, we've seen that letter. It used to be in the museum. Well, this was planned in the 1800s. Well, if it was planned back then, how come it's still going to plan? And how come it's so incredibly deep and complex, yet it's still going? without a hitch. It's because they're getting this information from somewhere. There are other powers. It's not just what you see in front of you and that's all it is. You've got a spirit, right? And that's what we need to recognize. This spirit that's inside is you. So, and this is the argument against the racist thing, right? They go, oh, like you get, oh, you're just a white guy. Okay, well, how do you know I'm white? My spirit I'm my spirit. That's where my consciousness is. You don't know if that's white or black. You don't know, right? My body is not me. It's just a flesh suit that my spirit lives in. I live in the flesh suit, but it's not me. And this is the thing, we get so focused on the physical, we forget that there's spiritual. But all you got to do is look at the depth of the plan to take over the world by these satanic pedophile cult, and you see that they've been doing it for generations and it hasn't changed. That is not of man. That's beyond man. But on the other side, you've got this book called the Bible. That's not of man either. The depth and complexity in there is incredible. And the people back in the day had a lot more knowledge than we have now, true knowledge. We've got a lot of lies, and it's the lies that go into our mind that block us from basically understanding who we are. And that's where I think all the witchcraft comes into it, because witchcraft is basically just, and medicine is witchcraft. All they do is they suggest a lie to you, and they do some sort of ritual. They make it look like something is legitimate, and you believe it. And then when you believe it, it happens. And then the Bible tells us, it says, as you believe in your hearts, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As you have believed, so be it unto you. And then you got like Job, and he says, all that I feared has come upon me. And then, so he feared it before it happened. And I don't know I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where you've thought something bad's going to happen, and it happens. Like when I injured my shoulder the last time, I rode my bike about 30 Ks to the club to train at a friend's club. And all day I was thinking, I'm going to hurt myself today. And even my wife had thoughts that I was going to hurt myself that day. And then what happened? I hurt myself, and it was the same shoulder that we both thought was going to get injured, and it happened. So there's more to it than we think. So this whole thing with medicine, say, and I know I'm going on and on, but the medicine, we know there's the thing called a placebo effect. But
that's huge.
But and that's just like that's the minimal amount of belief makes people better. You imagine if people fully believed in their capacity to heal and what they really are, but we're filled with doubt. The doubt is what blocks our capacity, and that's what everything is, and it's all witchcraft.
I mean, placebo. Yeah, I mean, I want to get into that. Placebo is so powerful. I think it's 38 to 64% effective. They've cut people open, told them they've done these surgeries, sewn them back up, not done the thing. People got off and walked. And the same with back surgery, neck surgery. They've also done the opposite, like what's called the nocebo effect. They've told people they've given them chemotherapy or chemotherapeutic drugs. They haven't. They give them a saline solution, and their hair started to fall out because they believed.
They believed it.
And it's very, and this is very, very powerful.
As a man, so the Bible verse is, as a man believeth in his heart, so is he. It's black and white, isn't it? Mm. But that's like 3,500 years ago that was said. As a man believeth in his heart, so is he. Well,
it's how as well they can make these things that aren't true almost become. It's like how medicines, they're extremely toxic to the body, but because people believe that they might work, the body can overcome the toxicity of the medicine just to 100%.
Yeah, and then you get and that's the whole thing, and it's basically witchcraft. What witchcraft is, so they'll do some sort of ritual, people believe it, and then it happens. They go, oh wow, that medium or that this or that whatever they are, enchanter, that witch, that whatever it is, they knew all this stuff that would happen. Well, maybe it's because they convinced you that it would happen and you believed it, and that made it happen. Then you get like these covens of witches and stuff, and what do? They do these rituals, and because they believe that these rituals will have an impact, all of these people focusing on one thing to say to curse someone or to do something, and it happens. Well, maybe it's because they are believing. It's their belief. Offset it against your belief. So this idea of belief is really what the fabric of everything is based on, but they haven't We don't know this because we are filled with doubts from the get-go. And there's a Bible verse that says, it's basically Jesus says, he's talking to the Pharisees. He says, you've shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, but you yourselves neither enter therein. Meaning that you shut the kingdom of heaven against men. How do you shut the kingdom of heaven against men? Remember, the kingdom of heaven's in you, and you're a temple of the Holy Spirit. Well, if it's in you, what stops you from entering in? It's all the doubt. It's all the false ideas. They block you. It's just a dead end now. I can't get in because I believe, I'm doomed. I can't heal. Okay, well, why are you doomed? Well, because I believe I am. Because I learned that if I get this disease, I'm dead. And this is the thing I have. Like, I've been cursed, obviously, with diabetes, which is a curse, right? And there's obviously something to it that causes this and allows it to get in, because it's all in the Bible. It talks about it calls it pharmakia in the Greek. That's what the word sorcery is, and it talks about in the last days these people, the merchants of the earth. Remember, lex mercatoria, the law merchant, the merchants of the earth were the mighty men of the earth who by their sorceries deceive the world. Okay, that word sorcery is the word pharmakia. What's the word pharmakia? That's where we get the word pharmacy, pharmaceutical. That's what it is. It's all witchcraft, mate. If you connect it to the stem, you get an idea of what it is.
Well, this is like what you said there as well is very powerful, because I've long been researching this, and it's things I say to my clients is like, those who think that they can't heal likely never will.
Yeah.
And you need to believe it. And this is the other interesting word about pharmacy. Then you've got the word doctor, which when you go back, it actually means teacher. What it traditionally means. But when was the last time a doctor actually taught you anything? They just prescribed this pharmacological nonsense.
And curse you. With
the vaccines,
you're gonna, or they just say, you only have this long to live, or you're gonna have to take this medication for the rest of your life, or you're gonna have that. Not, oh well, if you can believe, you can be healed. It's no, you can't. There's no way, you will die. That's cursing. That's what because it's okay. So how I had a problem with my teeth, and I've got this chip in my tooth. I went to the dentist. And the dentist basically cursed me and said, "Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad." As soon as I got back home, I started to worry about it, my teeth, and then big chunk of my tooth just fell out, and I was like, "Oh wow." Then I've got a friend that's got a cancerous tumor in his neck, and he's a pretty balanced guy, right? And he's a believer now, and he basically said to me, I'm going to get a biopsy on it, I think, but I might just have it cut out so we can check what it is, and then I'll decide what measures to take for this cancer. I mean, he doesn't want to do it. He won't do any chemo or any of that stuff. He's on the natural side of things and in his thinking. But anyway, I just talked to him about the witchcraft and the curses that come. I said, you're basically going to have to balance and prepare yourself for the curses that will come. Because if you go into the medical establishment and say, look, I want to get some tests on this, they're going to say, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. Oh, that looks like it's it's this type of cancer. And these are all curses that can make you believe. And if you do believe it in any degree, it's going to block your ability to heal and to overcome. And this is why this whole medical system is based on an oath called the Hippocratic Oath, which is to the first pagan god. That it's, if you look up the Hippocratic Oath, and you'll see it's to the gods of Greece, and the first one that they name is Apollo, who's the destroyer. That's who it is. Apollo is the destroyer, right? So the first one that they make an oath to that's listed is Apollo, and this is your traditional Hippocratic Oath. And what's a hypocrite anyway? Hypocrite means an actor. It's like a person. That's what a hypocrite means, person.
But I think it was meant to be based on Hippocrates, who was the father of natural medicine. He actually come from he studied in the island of Kos, on the Apothecarian. Yeah, you probably know. So it's interesting that is that a name given to him, or is that his actual name?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that, but I know that the word hypocrite definitely has the definition or the meaning of an actor. That's what it traditionally means, an actor. That's why when like in the Bible, when Jesus calls them hypocrites, Pharisees, right? Scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. It's like they're acting, they're pretending to be something, but they're not really that. So you claim to be, these teachers of the law and God, and you're the leaders, but you're blind guides. You're a liar. It's all a persona, but it's not real. That's what a person is. It's an actor as well. You're acting, you're pretending to. You put on. What do you do when you go into the public realm? You put on your you become the person. That's the persona. You put the persona on your face. This is how I act. Now I might act a bit differently in my home environment than I do on the outside. So that's my acting, and that's where it comes from. But yeah, I know that the Hippocratic oath, the actual oath, I might even better bring it up. I don't know if I can share.
I thought that's what it was. My understanding was it was based on Hippocrates, but even though funny because they've been hypocrites because they don't even use Hippocrates is what he studied all natural medicines and herbs, and on the famous island of Kos, and being the modern, well, being the father of natural medicine, it'd be quite funny that they're actually be Hippocratic of them to then use modern medicine when he was using all natural herbs. But it's interesting. It's very interesting what you say here when it talks about these things and how the Bible brings these things up. It makes a lot of sense as well. For someone who's not.
Can I share screen? I'll just show you.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Where am I? Let me see. Did that work?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Oath of Hippocrates.
Mm-hmm.
Look, see what it says? It's by Apollo, physician. Okay. Well, let's have a look at who's Apollo. So I might just go, who is Apollo? Or who was Apollo? Okay. Great gods.
We need to get you off of Google and onto Brave browser and onto.
I do have over here. I've got another browser.
Quant.
I just have to be on that one. I don't know why. Yeah.
Quant.
Anyway, he's known as the Destroyer. Is one of his titles is the Destroyer. So it's interesting that's what's manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll stop the share. Yeah, there you go.
That's right. No, it's interesting, man. Like, what got you? Well, you said about I'd be interested about your diet. When did you get diagnosed with diabetes?
When I was 5. So I've been indoctrinated since I was 5 years old. I'm 37 now, and that's a hard curse to break because it's habitual how I live. Taking insulin shots and all the rest of it. So there's definitely something in it, and I don't know how all these curses work, but I know that they can be healed because I've had experiences. Like I remember, and I'll share something with you. When I used to get really bad migraines, they used to go through one side of my head, and they were really bad when I was a teenager. And I was going to this church, and they were big on their healings and that. And they weren't. I don't go to churches anyway now. I don't do that. But back then I did, and I believed at 14 if I pray, I'd be healed. And I tell you what, I did, and I didn't do any funky weird stuff. I literally just prayed, and I believed, and literally like this wasn't like an infection going through my jaw and the back of my head and all my sinus. Like you get that, in your ear.
Yeah.
You get that. So one side of my head was completely in just terrible pain, and as soon as I finished my prayer, it was completely gone. I then went and told some of my friends, and they sort of looked at me like I was a weirdo. So I was like, okay, no one believes me that happened, but it is that belief. When you believe, you do have the capacity to. It's like you see that those women that can, the mums that pick up a car and roll it over to save their kid. I mean, it's this belief that they can and they will and they're going to. There's power that we have, but because of the lies, we can't tap into it until we get rid of those lies out of our mind. And that's the journey that I'm on, and I'm trying to understand the inner workings of who I am. And yeah.
that's like the Force in Star Wars, and also in the Matrix when he says you must believe, Neo, like you must believe. I can only show you the road, you have to walk it. But it's like, what's holding you back? Why aren't you? And it's a world that they say, like one of the guys I've interviewed before, Atom Bergstrom, one of his mentors, he said he saw him walk through walls, but people can't believe him and never will. He said he saw him walk, he saw him levitate. And this is things that people just like, they just think people are nuts. It's like, just because you don't have the capacity to understand that, or you're not in that realm, it doesn't mean that it can't. It doesn't. It's not true. You know.
You know why they can't understand it? Because they've been told that can't be done at a young age. Has been suggested to them, so they've been cursed with false ideas that restrict you from being able to understand. You know, Jesus walked on water, and then you know the apostles try to follow, and then Peter starts falling. Oh, I can't. He pulls him up. Like, how do you do that? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense according to the scientific I guess information that we're taught.
Literature,
but
yeah.
they tell us that we're a spinning ball of water that's 66.6 degree axis, and that the stars are ginormous things that come from billions of years from a big bang, and that we were monkey fish frogs that come from nothing, right? And our consciousness is just comes from nothing. It's ridiculous. But we've grown up believing this to some degree. That's a huge curse. That slight, even just a slight belief, is going to block you and put you on the wrong path. So we need to get rid of the lies.
100%. No, 100%. I mean, I know what it's like when I went through my own healing. Like once I realised that what was possible, it's like, oh my God, it was just like a veil unlifted, and then it's just you go in the rabbit hole of, if this isn't true, what the fuck else isn't true? and then you literally find out that basically everything else isn't true. Like everything they've told you isn't true, and for reasons of fear, manipulation, propaganda, get you to do what they want. The fact you got that at 5 years old, Nick, would probably tell me it had some sort of vaccine relation to it. Which and we can go through it, but doctors don't like to give people power. They like to take the power. It's like in our Veda, the best healers, the ones that are most revered, are the ones that don't have any patience. They have no client. Because they're the ones that people are like, oh, they've told people how to heal. I said, imagine that. I mean, obviously, I'd love that. I mean, obviously, I'm in the private sector myself, but you know, you're getting paid more by the clients that you don't have. You know, the less clients you see, the more you get paid. That'd be fantastic if you can put that in like So it's interesting, and so this will come about.
That's a great incentive, right? You get paid more money if you have less patience. You know, and it would be hard to find a cheat around that. You know what I mean? Like that would be hard to find a cheat around it. You basically have to do a good job. But if you do a good job, we will reward you for doing a good job. You know, but that would be a nice world. This is not. We live in the world of lies. That's what the world means. It's the old man of sin, and we need to navigate our way through it by unlearning all of those lies that we've inherited, and then we can start to realize who we are and understand.
So when we got onto this, I said to you, like, how would you go about that? You said you called on your spirit. As in, I said, if you went to the because there's something I'm dealing with at the moment. I'll get into that as well, actually, because we can go so many different ways of this. It's awesome. But like, so for example, I've got a speeding ticket the other day, or alleged speeding fine the other day. I think I might have mentioned it to you actually, and I've handed in things, asked them for the better particulars, etc. They have sort of like first of all they didn't answer. I sent another one. Then they not answered any of my questions, and I put a final notice back saying, "You haven't answered these, etc." And the last thing they said is, "Well, if you're not going to pay the conditional offer, then we can take you to court," for example. And I sent back saying, once again, this is the third time I'm asking now. Haven't responded to any of my questions, so I wonder what they'll give back. I mean, I've done it before, and it got thrown out. So I wonder whether I didn't get anything back.
Is they're testing you out to see if you know your stuff. So they want to say, well, you know, you've given them an equitable opportunity to resolve the issue, given that you've asked them these questions. If you resolve my questions and answer them, then we can then I'll pay you, but I just have some concerns. And they've made no attempt to do that. They're operating in equity. It's not going to look good for them at court. And then to send you, and you can evidence that you've sent these letters to them, yeah, whether it be by email or by registered or certified mail. So that's the trick. You have the evidence that you've made every attempt to resolve the concerns. You've sent me, you've replied to my notices, but you haven't responded in full, which means that you haven't given me what I require and what I require in equity. And because they haven't done that, they'll probably still just send you letters, but you just return to sender because you've given them every opportunity to respond. You don't have to deal with them anymore.
Oh, really? Just return to sender?
Yeah, because I mean, you have you not given them 3 opportunities to resolve your concerns so that we can enter into some sort of a contract or an agreement? You did. You said, yeah, but this is what I want you to answer first. And they're legitimate questions. I mean, all they could do is if your questions were not legitimate and they were ridiculous. Like if you were to send letters saying, well, this, please provide evidence that Mars is really a red planet. Like if you would, no, I'm not going to. But if they're legitimate questions related to, whatever it is, whatever type of fine, that you're trying to get to the bottom of, they have an obligation to basically identify who they are and where they get their power from. And you've asked them and they're not answering these questions. All right, well, I'm not obliged to answer you because you don't operate in equity. And the maxim of law is you shall be known by your acts and action. Okay, their actions have been deceptive and they have failed in 3 opportunities to resolve my concerns so that we could come to a resolution. Now I cannot, in good conscience, have any dealings with them. So so if I get anything from, like, we have Fines Victoria over here, I don't respond to Fines Victoria. I don't respond to anymore because I've given them every opportunity and they've failed.
So this is my thing. So it happened in Lincolnshire with me before. I did this and they sent letters back and I sent it off and after my final one, didn't get anything back, and that's been 4 or 5 months now. So, but this last one I've sent off. If I did send one, because I've sent it my final notice and I said by today, you should get a response if they haven't got one. If they didn't send me one back, do I just send return to sender? Or
they'll probably. I mean, the tricks that they do, that they'll send you. They'll just keep. They have a system in place. It'll just constantly send you. They have a system that's operating. They're not going to do the right thing and remove your name off the system. Why would they do that? No,
so that's what I mean. So then what would you do? Because then they can come to your door, right, with bailiffs? Is that right?
No, really, because you would just say to them if they did, well, I gave them 3 opportunities to resolve my concerns. I've done everything that I'm required to do, and they refuse to acknowledge it. So what am I meant to do now? And that's what. So like with my situation, like I don't pay the fines anymore. I won't pay them because I've asked them a number of questions and they've failed to. They won't even tell you what constitution they're under, and they just won't answer it. They go, and then I've rang them up. I've made the effort to ring them. I said, look, can you just please provide the evidence of these things? I've sent you 3 notices, and you keep sending me this garbage. These letters that I believe are very threatening. But I don't believe there's anything to it because I've given you the opportunity to basically identify who you are and with whom I'm dealing, and you've never made the attempt to even answer my questions and resolve my concerns, which is a violation of your own code of conduct that you're bound by. And you just have to speak to them like that and say, so I'm not going to waste my time writing letters to a great big conglomerate corporation that won't respond to any of my correspondence. They might send me a reply, but they don't answer it. They don't
answer anything you say. No.
So that's it, and they won't take it to court, in my opinion, because I've been doing this for years, and they've never taken me to court. They send me things like we may take you to court, we might, and now they send me letters that I'll get them, but they won't have like the company name, and I'll just have a return address, and all I've got to do is just go, what's the address? Oh, that's Fines Victoria, or that's, and I go return to sender, and I return it. It's not hard to do. That's just what you have, and then basically you have to deal with it because you've a registered car, and registered means to become.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got a car and stuff, so where they like start pulling you over because you've got an unpaid bill, for example, or they see it as an unpaid bill.
I don't know how they do it. They don't do that over here when you'd follow this process. If they do it over there, then that's when you might want to take them to court, or there's different options, different things you could do, and there's lots of groups over there that know how to deal with it. But basically, like I know the fines over here only last for like a year, and there's like what do they call it? It's like a statute of limitations.
Stipulation. They have to be dealt with in a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and if they can't deal with it in that time, they disappear. Okay, so have you not sent these notices? You send them conditional acceptance notices if you want to. Just say, look, I'm willing to pay you, but you can't identify who you are to me in the detail that I believe is sufficient. If you have an issue, you're going to have to take me to court because I've given you 3 opportunities prior, and now a 4th to resolve this to resolve this issue, this matter that you've raised, not me. They've raised the matter. He who maketh a claim bears the burden of proof. So you provide the evidence that I have done these things and that you have jurisdiction over me to impose these, whatever it is, whether it's fines or restrictions over me, in contradiction to whatever statutes that you put in your notice that they're in violation of. Once you've done that, you've done everything you need to do, and it's going to be very hard for them to take it further because you've done everything right. If it goes to court, you can very easily say and prove, hey, I've given them every option. They made no attempt to do it. They've failed in their own code of conduct to uphold their code of conduct. They've failed to operate in equity, and they failed to come up with a resolution and to provide evidence of their claim.
So when they, for example, if they said, "Oh, we've got evidence," and it's like a speeding gun or whatever it is, they know that they'd give like a. You say that, but that's not evidence. That's all it is a picture of something.
Yeah,
what's that?
It's a picture and it's some device, and there's no 2 witnesses to the fact. There's no way for them to truly prove that you did go that speed. Now, obviously, if you did do something stupid, you were driving recklessly, which I don't believe you were, and you're being an idiot, then you probably do deserve some sort of penalty because you are, in danger. But if you're doing some, if you're a few Ks over, and then they say, oh, you're going to pay us all this money, it's like, well, hang on, how do you know? How do you even know? Are your devices perfectly accurate? Can you absolutely testify of the truth? Because if you go to the court, they want you to make an affirmation or an oath that you'll swear the whole truth, right? But do you know the whole truth? No, you don't know the whole.
Well, those guns have been wrong before.
Yeah, so you can say the whole truth according to your own understanding, to the best of your ability, but you cannot say I'll swear the whole truth and nothing but the truth because you don't know the whole truth. Nor can you possibly speak nothing but the truth because you've inherited lies for your whole life based on these school systems and the media. You don't know. So this idea that these machines just work, the man that's using the machine doesn't know that they work. The corporations that create them don't know if they work perfectly. They don't know. They want you to believe it, and you're just saying, okay, well, you've made the claim that I've gone this speed. Please provide the evidence to verify it. Oh, well, this machine told us. Okay, does the machine work? Okay, yes, it does. Okay, where's the evidence of that? So you ask them the question. Yeah, does the machine is it perfectly accurate? Does it can you prove that it's perfectly accurate? Or they can't. And that's it. I don't know how it's going to go. But I would assume it'd be similar to here, where as long as you do everything to give them the opportunity to do what's right, what it does is it makes them look really bad. They're not. If you can get them to not follow their code of conduct, if you can get them to not respond, and I'm not saying that you get them to. No. When you can prove that they're not doing these things, they're not answering your questions, well then they're completely outside of law. They're just operating because unconscionable conduct can be defined as basically one big corporation having significant power over the other, and to use that advantage over you, right? So you don't have unlimited resources you can't write letters constantly to respond. They could send you 100 letters a week. Can you respond to all those letters? No way.
Well, no, I put in the thing, like, if you take this to court, then my court fees are £5,000 and £250 for every hour that's been dealt with this. At the moment, it's been 6.5 hours. So, so it's like, because at the end of the day, you're doing work for free. You're working for free. You're not. It's for nothing. It's like they're trying to take money off you for nothing, and you're just like, we spend a lot of time on it.
That I don't really know. I know of one guy that's been able to make good on that money in the past, but it's very hard. I've never been able to get them to pay me anything, but they've never taken me to court. This is fines. This is all of that stuff. They've never taken me to court. Same with the promissory notes for credit cards, all the rest of it. They've never taken me to court. And people might be watching this and might think, well, you should be paying your debts. Well, you know what? They're not debts. It's money made out of nothing.
It's fabrication.
They didn't lend me anything. They just created it out of my signature. Basically, I created it, and they're just the middleman in the middle that wants me to slave away, and they want to extort my labour. It's a trick. And it's a false belief. It's not real. And that's why it's going to fall down very soon, because people are becoming aware of it. And that's why, obviously, cryptocurrency and people going back to the gold and silver, and people just opting out of the system completely because it's wrong. It is wrong. It's morally wrong. And there's a lot of people, like the Christian world's been basically conditioned to just follow their leaders, even though that's not what the Bible says. It's like the Bible's the most restricted book and the most censored book in the whole world. Islamic countries censor it. Communist countries censor it. I mean, North Korea, they put you in a three generation prison camp for having a Bible, right? But
really.
The countries that, and China's restricts your ability to have it too, and it's really bad. But places where you have free access to the Bible, they have these organizations called churches that don't teach it to you properly, so that they fill your heads with lies about it, so you don't really understand it and you can't get out of the system. Because the Bible verse is, and the truth will set you free. That's in John 8, right? The truth will set you free. That's why I called my ministry John 8 for that reason. Well, we ain't free, are we? And the countries that have apparently have the truth and the Bible, if they ain't free, then they're definitely not understanding it properly and applying it properly. So that's what they do. They convince you to just follow these orders. But people are coming out now and realizing they've been lied to. They've inherited lies. That's a Bible prophecy. It talks about that. The people are going to inherit lies and things are going to profit. And people are coming out of this system, which is just basically created by Caesar. It's a Vatican organized system, which is the public. And they've realised that the money's not real. What am I slaving away for? These mortgages aren't real. They never lent me anything, and then they're going to take everything off me if I don't pay them. That can't be right. Then they're charging me for offences that aren't even offences. I've caused no harm, but they're saying you've committed an offence by driving 2 kilometres over the speed limit in this area. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Like, how is that an offence? What's offensive about that?
Yeah,
you may do something that might cause an accident. I could be going 2 kilometres under and cause an accident. Like, exactly. I haven't caused any harm to anyone. So this is just a made up. It's like when I've got a gym, right? And you've got gyms that are set up where they say, oh, this is a joining fee. There's a cancellation fee. There's all these different fees. It's like as many fees as they can come up with. Finance companies do it too, but as many fees as they can think to name, they will add. I just have one flat amount. This is what it costs to train, because I think that's fair. But this is what they do. They come up with different names for things, and the different names for things, like, well, that's an offence because of this. But hang on a minute, it's not really an offence if I haven't caused any harm. Oh yeah, but they create a controversy so that they can charge you more money, and that's what the charges are. It's all these charges. I mean, that's why they call it a bill in Parliament. It's a bill because they pass a bill. Okay, and the Parliament, the Senate, and they write these things up called a bill, and then they charge us for the bill. That's why it's called a charge. Okay, these charges, where do they get the charges from? Well, they get it from us. And whether you look at it as electrical charges because it's our energy and our labour, or is it just a charge for our money? But the money is just a medium of exchange between our physical being's energy. the energy of and even the energy of our mind in some cases, for those that just use their mind and don't really use their physical capacity. It's still electrical, right? So that's where the charges come from. That's why they do it in this way. But once you learn what the words mean, you start to realize what everything is, and you start to want to come out of it, but it's hard to come out of it because the information's not readily available for you to come out of it, and it's hard to know what's right. We've got to take some risks sometimes.
Well, people also say, well, what do we do? Like, how do we get out of it? Because they've been so, most of them are so dependent on the system. They've been so brainwashed by it. They don't know how to get out of it. They say, like, it's about this situation. They're like, well, what do we do about the whole coronavirus? I'm like, you just start living life as normal. If everyone did that, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Or it's like they put London into tier 3, which is like a non-lockdown lockdown, where it's just like, why are you even? But I said to somebody, I said to it on my video today, I did a live video, I said, I'm absolutely dumbfounded that people are still letting them get away with this. Like, people are losing their livelihoods, their jobs, etc., for something that is fucking clearly obvious. It's all complete bullshit, and people are letting them do it. Like, we've gone so far as a society backwards, and there's been such full of weak, pathetic, like, men that won't do anything. Like, I haven't worn a mask. I refuse to do all this shit. Same as you, Nick. And I'm just like, where? It's just, this is why, because there's not enough people standing up to it, and so everyone feels like they can't do nothing about it. It's like all of us have to come together. I mean, and you started something called the Minutemen, which is interesting, but like that's, it's something that people are just, they're all running scared because there's not many people standing up against it. Well, so more and more are actually coming out. But in terms of the jobs, in terms of things, people are protesting, but when it comes to their businesses, they're not going, no, fuck that, I'm staying open.
Well, I was talking to my Irish mate Jerry, and he basically he's a river bloke too, and he's full Irish. Like, he lives in Australia, but he's full on Irish. A really smart guy when it comes to like what he sees, and he sees details. And, some people have an eye for detail and others don't, right? Some that don't have an eye for detail, but they have an ability to see the big picture too. So we're all different in how we perceive things, and we're made that way. We reflect light differently. But he said that Ireland aren't doing the big protests, but they're just basically not going along with things. They're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure, okay, no worries. But then they just don't follow the COVID rules. And I said, that's the way to win. Is if everyone goes, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, thanks, coppers, no worries. Well, sure. That's how you win. You just don't do it. No one does it. They can't arrest everybody. And
yeah, exactly.
If someone gets arrested, we all have a laugh. Ha, you got arrested. Ha, we all have a joke about it, and make it fun. But the reason, I had I've actually got some friends over at the moment, and we were having a chat the other day with one of my friends who's she's Polish, and she came over as a political refugee because her father was a political refugee during the Solidarity movement. He actually got locked up in a prison in I think it was in Russia, but then they were going to send him to yeah, but they were going to send him to Siberia, but they didn't end up doing that because it was because he was able to get he was able to be come over to here as a refugee. I know some people helped him, and anyway, so she was saying to me, I don't know how people are so dumb. How can they not get it? It's so clearly a made up thing. I'm like, yeah, but you're forgetting that our Bibles tell us very clearly. They say because the people believe not the truth. And this is like with there's Bible verses that are about the last days, right? One of them says very clearly, because they love not the truth that they could be saved, God will send them a strong delusion that they'll believe a lie.
I need to hear that again. That's awesome.
It says because they love not the truth that they could be saved. So you got to be saved. To be saved, you got to love the truth. Okay, you got to love the truth to be saved from the lies, basically.
Because they love not the truth
that they could be saved. This is the people that don't love the truth because that they could be saved. For this cause, God sends them a strong delusion that they will believe a lie. Now, this is a strong delusion. There's really intelligent people that still believe the lie, even though the facts state otherwise. What's the definition of delusion? It's to believe something as fact when the facts actually state otherwise. This is the definition of a delusion. Well, this is something that was written 2,000 years ago, and it was talking about the people that would not love the truth would be sent a strong delusion that they'll believe a lie. And what you've seen is there's consciousness going up and consciousness going down. You see people that you knew, before this lockdown, and they were great people to hang out with. You got along with them. Now they're calling you names. They think that you're evil. You're bad. They won't talk to you. Well, what's happened is some are being taken and the other one's left over. Some have been taken to a higher consciousness, so they're going to the heavenly place, which is what that means. Their thoughts are going higher, and others, their thoughts are going lower. And that's why we're seeing such a big divide now. There's people whose thoughts are in the mud, and they can't see anything when it's right in front of them. But when you're up high, you can see the whole big picture. You can see everything on the horizon, all around you. If you want to know where you are and you're lost in the wilderness, you go up to a high place and you look around. Maybe you can see where everything is. And that's what's happening. People that love the truth are going up higher. They're going to the heavenly place. They're seeing things from the higher perspective. And then the people that don't love the truth are getting pushed into the mud, and they can't see anything. And you show them stats, you show them everything, and to prove that it's all a lie, and they still won't look at it. They can't comprehend it because they've been sent a strong delusion.
Yeah, they can't become. It's like I think I put something out today saying, if you refuse to look at all the evidence that proves that this is a complete hoax that isn't being shown by the mainstream, you haven't got a belief in science. You've got a fear-based dogma. It's like you won't look at anything else. So I'm happy to look at research you show me from the mainstream, because I need to know. I need to know that anyway, so I can put it apart. It's like so I can see where it's. Whereas when you look at these, I mean, the thing, it's just like, and because they've got now, as you said before, these curses, they make up so much bollocks, right? That people believe. It's in like, first of all, I mean, as Tom said, like and the research we've done, viruses aren't contagious. They're endogenous. They're in the body, but there's something called signal transduction, which gives the illusion that people can catch things like viruses. They can catch parasites and pathogens, etc. But viruses are very different. But then they talk about long COVID, and then they talk about the virus mutate, and they've got a new one. The virus is mutated, and it's like, shut up! Like, will you stop with the bullshit for 2 minutes?
Crap, isn't it?
Yeah. But because people, they believe all this shit, and they're like, oh, spread the virus. And it's just like, fucking, there's so much. The lies are complex. The truth is simple. Yeah. Always. Yeah.
That's right. Go on. You go on.
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, the truth is fucking simple. You walk outside your front door and you see that everyone's still alive, barring people that would have died anyway. Cool. So this is all bollocks. Or you've got people saying, you've got these asymptomatic people, which are just healthy people, that can spread a disease they haven't got, apparently. Then you've got, like, the flu's completely gone, 98% worldwide. It's completely disappeared. So that's gone. And all the other, I mean, it's so many different things we can talk about. Like, it's just ridiculous. And people buy into it because they're so scared and they've been told so much bullshit. There are some people that genuinely don't know any better because they don't know. They've no one to awaken them, and they just buy into it because that's what they know. There's other people that should know better, and they're buying into it. And I'm just like, a bit of me, the bit of me that is, as people talk about, there's a difference in a good person and a timid person. A good person is someone who can rain fire down the world, but doesn't because they don't want to do that, right? Compared to a meek person. Whereas a bit of me is like, these people, that fucking dark side of me says, you deserve everything you get, because you buying into this, and you should know better, is playing into their hands and dangerous to close to taking away our freedoms forever. So you know what? Go and take the vaccine. See how it does. And that's a little bit of me like that.
I agree. By their fruits you shall know them, and there's this great parable in the Bible, and it's actually taught. It's a pattern all through there. It's taught. There's all these parables that teach basically the same thing. There's the parable of the 10 virgins, the parable of the talents, the parable. The one of them that's really good is the parable of the wheat and the tares, and it talks about how in the end, so there's going to be a vineyard which represents the world, and there's going to be There's going to be servants that are like the prophets, and they're going to, and the masters, which is like God, he's going to sow seeds that are wheat. So, and wheat is a good seed. And if you've ever looked at wheat, when it produces fruit, it comes up and it actually bows. It's amazing. And then there's this other thing called tares that look just like wheat, but they go straight up, like they're puffed up and proud, but they don't produce any fruit, nothing of substance that's good. So you've got the wheat and the tares. Anyway, then when they're sleeping, the enemy sows tares among the wheat. So the wheat's the good thing. It represents the good seed in the people, because remember, we're the dust of the earth. We're the estate, right? We're this good soil, and the soil is ours out there, and then the seed is from God. It puts the word of truth in there, and that bears fruit. But then the other one is the word that doesn't bear fruit. Now the enemy sows it. That's referred to as the tares. And then the servants who represent the prophets, they go, and the saints, they ask the Creator, they go, did you sow tares among the wheat? And he says, the Creator, the Father says, which is the master of the vineyard, says, no, an enemy has done this. Then the servants say, well, should we gather the tares, pull them out? And he says, no, because if you do that, you might also pull out the wheat. Because basically tares just suck the life out of the wheat, right? They compete for the soil. He says, let them grow together, and in the end, we will first harvest all the tares, pull them out when they're fully grown, tie them into bundles, and burn them with fire, and then we will harvest the wheat. And I think we're seeing it happen, this pattern. And this pattern is all throughout history. There's this pattern that we see where, and I think all the people that are going to put their hands up for this vaccine, all the people that are going to go put their hand up for this, all the COVID rubbish, they're the ones that are going to be taken out.
Well, Nick, you see, it's almost like every story you see, like where the hero's laughed at and ridiculed and told that he's wrong, basically all the way through the story until at the end when it's like, oh shit, he was right, and it's like our tribe has been growing, and because there's only so much bullshit and people can take, but there's still the majority of people. I don't know. In fact, I think the majority of people that think this is bullshit is probably much larger than what the media says. Is because they don't tell us that, because then people, by saying that 25% think it's nonsense, that people in the 25% won't speak out because they think 75% of people are against them. Whereas in reality, it's probably more like 40% of people now think it's complete fucking bullshit. But by putting that figure out, they're very clever at manipulating data and stats and putting a message out that they want to stop the uprising happening. But the numbers are getting bigger, but there are still a hell of a lot of people, especially celebrities, these demigods, given the illusion of being godlike, that people buy into, and they're being told, right, if you wear your mask and you say you're getting a vaccine, we'll pay you X amount of money. Yeah. That is, isn't it? That is like selling your soul to the devil. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they have got demigod-like status amongst the population.
So the doctrine of Satanism is all about the flesh. Anything that worships the flesh. It doesn't even have to be a belief in any being. It's all about me. When it's all about me, then that's when you're worshipping the flesh, as opposed to the spirit and the higher thoughts. And that's what they do. They sell out. I want stuff. I want to be, it might be vanity. I want to be seen. I want my face to be everywhere. I want people to see me because I'm so good. Or I want to be the most beautiful. I want to be the toughest fighter. I want to be whatever it is. I want to be that. That is worshipping the self, the created over the creator, and saying, I want to be doing what God created me to do, what my purpose is designed for. I want to be that, because you're going to be greater at being that than you are at trying to be anything else, anything that you set your mind to, rather than and because you can set your mind to do anything, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the best that you can do. When you realize that you were created by a being and that you have this amazing divine potential, and that we all have very special gifts, and there might not even be words that we know to describe what those gifts are. we get limited by our understanding and our words, because obviously the limit of your knowledge of words, however it's limited, is a limit on how you can express thoughts and higher thoughts and ideas. And that's sad, because we've been indoctrinated into believing that words have a specific meaning, but they're wrong. They don't make sense. We're speaking babble.
Well, a lot of the time,
Can you just hang on one sec? I can hear my dog out the side.
Yeah, go for it.
Give me 1 sec, mate. Sorry.
Go for it. But I think that's interesting what we just said there, guys, about this being the babble. I want to get into this with Nick in a deeper understanding, because even understanding that word is an interstanding. I was just having a little talk myself there, Nick. But actually, because you said it's babble, which I'll get into. What dog have you got?
My dog's a cattle Kelpie, which is like a really big type of Kelpie, crossed with an American Staffy.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, so it's a crossbreed. Yeah, I like crossbred dogs because I reckon that they have a bit of hybrid vigor, and they generally are healthier as well.
My brother-in-law sister, they've got a collie staff. Cross.
That'd be a good dog.
Gorgeous and just sharp as a tack and just awesome. But it's staffs are always they're a good breed. I mean, there are lots of good breeds actually. Dogs are just awesome. They're just unconditional love. You can tell them off and they'll love you just as much 10 minutes later than they did at the start. Or after you told them off, which is something that we can probably learn some from. But you mentioned there before you went off about babble. I mean, something that we don't understand, even though that's the wrong word to use, probably interstand. Is that the word I should be using? Interstand, yeah. Which we probably go into for people, because people don't know. Understand means to stand under someone, right? Do you stand under me? It's like, no. Whereas
that's because
interstand,
if we're a subject of something, like the subject of the queen, the sub is the sub below, beneath, and the ject is from the object, so the sub object of something. So we have to stand under it. That's why they give us these words and define us in this way. I'm a subject of the queen. Okay, so if you're a subject of the queen, you're a sub under, you're an object of, and you're a sub. You're in the basement. Okay, but to understand who you are, you realize you're a child of the Most High, and you have this amazing potential. They've filled our minds with filth and rubbish and things that aren't true, so that we believe that's all we are. People believe that we're no good, we're just crap, we're just animals. Well, that's there's this great quote from and I heard it from Brandon Sibley. He's a friend of mine that we do lives every now and then, and he's in the US, and he does very similar to me. The Bible, words, and law, and he shared this quote. It was like I think we shared it before, but it applies all the time. Okay, the wise people are instructed by reason. Men of less understanding are instructed by experience. The ignorant are instructed by necessity, so their needs. I do my job, just my job. I got to do it. And they're the ignorant people, and the beast is instructed by nature, and they want us to be at that point where we're just like animals, where we just, sex, drugs, food, comforts, whatever we want. That's what they want us to be, so that we're only looking on the outside, but we're not looking on the inside and who we are. And you see people, and I don't know if I told you I did a movie and I did some stunt work. In a Van Damme movie, believe it or not.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes before.
And you just see that there's people that work in this industry, there's a lot missing in their life because they haven't worked on themselves from within. It's all on the outside in that industry, right? And you see it and you just think, these people haven't worked a lot on being right with God and knowing who they are and learning what it's all about. It's all been about the outside. what's in the world. How do I get that? How do I appeal to those things? How do I achieve the honors of men? Basically, you know, like that was why I quit fighting. That was the actual true reason why I had to quit fighting. I was a very good fighter. I'd fought some name guys, you know, and I was doing very well. I got a UFC opportunity to fight in the UFC. I didn't take it because I didn't want to commit to another 3 fights. That would have been my chance, but I realized I was giving all of my heart, mind, and strength to a sport created by men when I should be giving that to God. I realized I was just being used as a for the what do they call it, the Roman circus.
And Colosseum, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't meaningful, right? So I wanted to work more on the more important thing. So instead, what I did is I retired from fighting and I went and spent 3 years learning how to read and write Hebrew so I could study the Bible more and then learn about all these things. That's what I found was more important. Now you can, but the honors of man is, you know, a lot of people go, I want to be, unless men have told me that I'm this or I'm the champion, because I won a number of belts as a professional fighter. You know, a mate of mine rang me the other day. He said, you know, how many fights did you have and wins and losses? I said, I can't remember. I said, I know I've had 39 pro fights. And he said, you can't remember your record? I said, nah. And then we looked it up, and I told him. He said, that tells me that you don't really give a crap anymore about it. I said, no, I don't care. It's not that important to me because it's not real. It's all man-made stuff. It's all on the outside. You go and you're chasing all these things on the outside. You're not realizing what you are on the inside.
But you mean the chase of getting to the top rather than because learning how to defend yourself or learning the combat, I think is for me. I think that's a very noble thing. Is in terms of understanding how to defend yourself or your family. But like you're talking about, not the actual skill, but rather
the honors of men. Achieving the honors of men. Hey, there's a belt. Here's a title. If you fight on this show and you get this belt, you're special. Oh, I'm the champ now because somebody said that I am.
But what if you enjoy it, Nick? If you really enjoy it,
do it. But if you feel that you're called to something higher, then do it. You know, like you've got to. There's nothing wrong with people doing what God puts on their heart, but it wasn't on my heart anymore. I realized that accepting it was like vain for me now. It was like, if I do this anymore, I'm giving all my strength to something that I don't truly believe in.
So you're putting your identity into something that So it's like Nick Patterson, UFC fighter, rather than there's a lot more to you than that.
Yeah, because when you share your identity with a group or a collective in any way, what you're doing is you're giving your identity to it. So it doesn't. You don't really have your identity in the full capacity of it, which actually restricts your ability to be the light that you're meant to be. I don't like to go, I'm part of this group anymore. I like to say, I work with that group. I do stuff with this group. I'm involved with that group, but I don't say I'm part of it and I give my identity to it, because I don't believe we're meant to do that. I think we're meant to, because that's going to restrict our ability to shine our light, because there's all these other people in front that you've got to conform. Whenever you've got to conform who you are to fit something, and you share your identity with it, and you share the identity of the collective as well, that's going to get in the way of you being who you can be and what you. I don't know if
because it does, because you're saying that, like, once again, you're almost putting that persona on rather than being you, and you're doing things for the collective rather than for yourself. So sometimes you might, which is understandable, but it's because people get caught up in it and they see it as success, and it is hard, especially if you get in something like that and you do enjoy it, but then you can get carried away, as you said, and look for the things like. This is why a lot of that, I think Jim Carrey said, I hope that everyone gets rich and famous, to realise that's not the answer, which is important. But then again, striving as a man and doing things as a man and chasing excellence and becoming yourself is one thing, but like doing it for yourself is very different to doing it for others or for doing it for the accolades.
Yeah, no, I agree. When you do it for the accolades, That's where I think the sin or the which means to go wrong. The wrong is. It's where I want it, because that's vanity. That's inspired vanity. I want to be seen. I want people to see me and, oh, you're the champ, and they want to have the greetings. Oh, you're the champion. And it's like, you know what? I'm not that. I'm actually more than that. I'm a child of God, but I can't really be that when everyone sees me as this.
Mm.
And if I project that image, then I'm lending my identity to that image, which means my identity is actually being hidden by that image. I'm putting a mask over it, which is your persona. Like you said, it's a mask.
Makes sense. When we talk about this, it's really makes a lot of sense, and it's amazing how these scriptures they talk about all this years ago. Cool, my man.
And so we just had a brief interlude where Nick went to the bathroom, and we're back now to finish the end of the show.
If you got to wrap up, then we'll maybe go into this for another time, and we'll get into it, because I want to just go into a bit about the Minutemen, etc. But we can talk about.
Can you just put those together with the yeah. So,
no problem. How long you got?
Yeah, I've got about 5 minutes. I got people here, and they're about to go, and I've got to say there's a few things I need to say to them before they go, because there's stuff happening with the groups, with the Telegram groups, and these people are involved in it. Yeah, that lady that's she's very heavily involved, and she's the one whose father was in the they came over as political refugees. They're here at the moment, so, and it's late, so okay. So, sorry that I accidentally hung up on you.
No worries, mate. It's all right. Cool. Now we'll just finish. We'll get on it, because these chats, Nick, I can talk about them all day, and I think they're really powerful for people, because they can understand what's at play, and it gets them out of their head and out of the bullshit and into the actual real. But just quickly, for people out there, I know you've got some things going on which we can go into next time. But you've got how is the Minutemen stuff going?
Well, I haven't done a lot with it. I'm starting my own sort of group of people that I can work with that have the same ideas about things, that want to stand up to the police. Basically, I don't know if I can share any of this with you, but basically, give me a sec. Can I just share screen with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let me see. We're on the Hippocratic Oath before. All right, so let's have a look. Can you see the Victoria Police Act there?
Yeah.
It's the Victoria Police Act, right? Section 51, duties and powers of police officers. A police officer who has taken to subscribe the oath or made an affirmation has the duties and powers of a constable at common law, right? So that's what the Victoria Police are. This is from their own act. So if you look at the definition of a constable at common law. Now, give me a sec. I will just have a look. Give me a sec. I had it up here before, but now there it is. Constable at common law, right? This is the definition in the Australian Legal Dictionary. A constable cannot be directed by the government or senior police. See that? The constable cannot be. That's all Victoria Police. And I would say it's the same in the UK as well. Yep. All police would be constables, and they'd be defined very similarly, that a constable cannot be directed by the police or by the government or senior police. So government directives, no, they can't impose them, they can't enforce them as to who he or she should prosecute. So when they prosecute you for not wearing a mask or whatever, they're actually in violation of their own, in Victoria, their own act, but also the definition of their position. A constable's duty is to enforce the law, is a personal responsibility, and the constable is answerable only to the law and not to his or her senior officers for the performance of that duty. So the reason that the police are not meant to be directed or dictated to by other people, whether it's government or the judiciary, is because their job is to specifically to enforce the law and nothing else. Because if they were not doing that, and they were being directed, then how do we know that they're actually enforcing the law anymore? If they're being directed, it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, they've been told what to do rather than following the actual law. And
if we look at this is a High Court case where basically it's from 1968. And it's what's the case? It's R versus the Commissioner of Police. ex parte. And it says it was considered by the Royal Commission on the Police in the report in 1962, but I have no hesitation in holding that, like every constable in the land, he should be and is independent of the executive. Their job is not to be directed; it's to be. Their job is to just enforce the law, and it's a personal responsibility. They are not bound by anyone higher. And that's basically why we need the people to stand up to them, because they're being directed by the government, and that's what's causing all the crimes. And because they're ignorant, it's the most ignorant people that commit the greatest crimes against the people.
100%. And is it going okay? Have you got anything sorted out? Anything planned or not?
Yeah, I've got people together that want to stand up to the police, and basically when they commit crimes like kettling people or assaulting people that are doing nothing, they need to then meet them with force, not disproportionate, which is it's completely legitimate at law in this state where we live. You got your right to Section 322K of the Crimes Act allows you to defend yourself and another person, and Section 462A of the Crimes Act enables you to use force. This is what we're teaching people, how to navigate their way.
Reasonable force.
How to understand that. Yeah,
this is what I wanted to go into. Well, we remember going a bit deeper next time. We did actually do a podcast about a week and a half ago. Unfortunately, the reception was really poor, so I want to get Nick back on and go through things. And we've had a really good chat today, my man. And we will get back on and have a chat, because it's always eye-opening, and I want people to understand more about what you're doing and how they can maybe get involved, because I know I put you together with some other people in Oz, actually 2 of my clients, and they're really they're loving the stuff. So thanks for coming on, Nick. I know you've got to shoot, but always a pleasure, my man, to speak to you.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
So that was episode 171 with Nick Patterson, who once again dropped some fantastic knowledge there, and I know you're going to get lots out of it, especially around the common law, the thoughts, the beliefs, but a common law around parking fines and penalties. When I dived into this myself, and the results I've got from doing it, having been issued speeding tickets and not had to pay them because it's all falsified, it's all illegal, it's all based upon nonsense. When you start going into that and realising you have the power, no one can control you, it's a real game changer, because you start to become a lot calmer. You realise all this stuff that they're doing is to perpetuate fear into you and to keep you at a low vibration. And when you start looking into these things at a deeper level and understand your mind, the power, your beliefs, your sovereign being, and everything that they're doing, it doesn't. If you're on a different frequency, if you're learning different things, if you're switching off the noise and the fear and the propaganda, it just can't affect you, and it won't affect you. And you just have to know. Obviously, you have to go and learn. It's all a journey, but once you do, it's a real game changer. And I just want you to take that on board. You have the power to change your life, no matter what they do. You can't affect what's going on in the outside world, but you can affect what's going on inside, and that's a real liberating feeling when you really start to understand that. That was episode 171. As always, people, if you are dealing with a health issue that you haven't been able to overcome, no matter what you've tried, you've seen the doctors, quote unquote specialists, consultants, and not only have you not got better, you've probably got worse, then please don't hesitate to send me an email at ryan@reviveyourself.co. That's ryan@reviveyourself.co, and I'll be in contact with you as soon as possible, because the truth is you can overcome whatever you're going through. Any illness or advanced disease can be reversed by doing the opposite of what created it. You just have to get out of the body's way and give it the right circumstances to heal. So if you've been dealing with something, send me an email and I'll get to it as soon as possible. We can have a chat about how we can help you. Otherwise, people, as always, that's it for this week. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.